G'day, how are you all?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. And welcome to this group.
Thank you, Gabrielle.
Thank you very much.
We'll say hi, Nathaniel.
Hi, Grabriela.
Hi.
שלום יעל.
היי, מה נשמע? התכתבנו.
נכון. We're waiting for others?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be good to wait about 2 minutes. Would that be okay?
Oh, sure.
I think it takes some time for people to choose from the list. There are many very interesting. So those who were not very clear from the beginning what group to join, I suppose it can take a little bit of time. Tehila is also joining us. So
Yes.
she is now in the main group. So I suppose we take 2 minutes and then it would be a good opportunity to introduce ourselves. It looks like a small group now, which could lead to more intense discussions.
Yeah, that's right.
Is somebody still in the other group?
Yeah, I left the other group and there's a few people who were just trying to work out how to get into other groups.
Okay.
But they had, you know, the list of links that was given to us on the agenda, they had that on the chat.
Okay.
So I think people were getting there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just wait 1 more minute, and if Tehila is also joining, we can start. Where are you from, guys?
I'm from Israel.
From Israel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, me too. I'm from Israel.
Okay. And Jacinta, where are you from?
I'm from Australia. I'm from Melbourne,
Australia.
Australia.
How do you spell your name?
Jacinta War.
Jacinta.
Jacinta.
Jacinta. Okay. What's the time? It has to be very late for you.
Yeah, it is nearly 12:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Wow.
Midnight, after midnight, after that witching hour.
Have you stayed yesterday also? Last night?
Yeah, yes, that's right. I did. I got up a little bit later this morning, I must admit. But yeah, no, it's been good. I've rested before.
Hi, sorry for my late. It was last thing that we should take care of, but now we are sorry. Yeah, I'm
Hi.
just listening. Hi.
Hi. We were waiting for you and see if other join. Now I think
Okay.
we can start. We just know where from we are. I'm from Romania, actually. I haven't. We introduced ourselves only where from we are, so we were waiting for you.
Okay, great. So I'm from Israel, and I guess we have like half of the group is from Israel, right? Nathaniel and Yael. Great. Yeah.
Do you know each other, you three?
Yael less, right? We just had an email, but we will know each other right now. Ella, would you like to start, like to share and?
So just a short introduction of myself, and then probably it would be good for anybody to do the same.
Yeah.
I'm from Romania. I'm associate professor at Transilvania University, and I'm teaching social work students. I'm a psychologist, actually. I did my PhD in Belfast with John Pinkerton on living care, and that was my starting point in the field of living care. I began 2005. Then I connected with an NGO in Romania, which is running aftercare programs and living care programs. And I'm still connected to this NGO as a president over 10 years. I managed to implement some of the PhD results through these programs. And what's my special interest now in mostly in young parents, caregivers, because in the last years, we have turned out in the NGO to work more with young mothers. We have a group of 9 young mothers with children, and they are all caregiver. And we have 22 young children less than 10 years old from these 9 mothers. So this turned up to be a completely new project in itself for us, which we didn't have until now. And as you could imagine, it brings up a lot of needs and ways to support both mothers and children. Some have fathers, some are families, but mostly are lone mothers or in abusive living in abusive relationships. So there, from my interest in this small topic on parenting mostly. So I think it's enough for now.
Yeah,
Tehila.
maybe I'll go further and then we can like hear you. From Ben-Gurion University, Israel. My main topic of research is living care in young people at risk generally. And my interest in caregivers as parents and the romantic relationship is pretty new. I only have some preliminary data to share with you today. I'm part of projects that follow caregivers up to 10 years after leaving care. We right now have, we did the 4th point in time, which was, as I said, 10 years after leaving care. And we succeeded in finding 152 young people from the original sample of 270. So it was very, very challenging to find them 10 years after leaving care. And one of my main questions in this project, which I did together with Professor Rami Ben-Benishti and Professor Anat Zeira, is how they experience their parenting and how they experience their romantic relationship. So I did both. Part of my quantitative data collection referred to this question, and also we did 20 interviews with caregivers who are parents. It's not actually very young parents, because right now they're around the age of 28, but we had 20 interviews. We didn't analyze them all right now, but only half of them. And I would like, when we continue our discussion, to share with you some of our results and discuss, of course, them. So let's move on. Maybe we will start with Janica. Sorry, you have to tell your, sorry?
Cinta.
Cinta. Yeah, I didn't hear, I also missed where you're from. So if you can just let me know. Just a second, I'm sorry, I have a call from my colleagues in the, you can continue, okay? I'll be with you.
Okay.
So Jacinta, could you tell us about you and your interest in this group, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, I'm doing my, finishing off my PhD under Philip Mendes at Monash University. And what my PhD is on, really looking at young people's social supports and social capital. So when I'm looking at their social capital, I'm really sort of looking at the functions of norms, expectations, obligations, linking.
Sorry, I really have to leave you because some people have some technical issues. So I will leave you and go back, and I'll try to come back as soon as possible, if it will be possible. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
No worries. Bye-bye. So,
Bye.
so I'm really, and what I have actually found is that some of the young people, it's not just adults that they get a lot of their social capital from. It's from their peer relationships. And in my sample, I do have samples of their most important person being a romantic relationship. And that's what interests me coming to this group, is really because I'm very, very interested in the care leaders' informal relationships more generally. So I thought this would be a good group to come and listen to what research has been done internationally.
What stage of the PhD are you?
I'm
you finished or?
Well, I'm not quite finished. I'm nearly finished. I've got all my results, and I'm up to the write-up of everything, and I'm hoping to be finished by the end of this year or very early next year.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Jacinta, your focus is on teenage or like young adults?
Yeah, no, my age group was from 18 to about 25, 26.
25, 26.
Yeah.
Can you give us more data on your sample, please, and then we can continue?
Okay. Well, I wasn't quite sure how much you needed. Okay, so what I've done is I've interviewed 9 young people, but it's mainly 8 young people where I've spoken to them about someone that's actually very important in their life and how this person has actually helped them. And then with their permission, I've interviewed that person, the person who's been very important to them. And sometimes that's been, as I said, a romantic relationship. Sometimes it's a former carer. Sometimes it's an adult that's been in their life. And also sometimes it's just a friend. And then, so I've asked them similar questions that I asked the young person, how they've actually helped in this young person's life. And I've looked very closely at how social support interacts with social capital functions. So it's very detailed. The research that I'm looking at, I'm really looking at the minutiae of, what happens on a daily basis. Tell me how you've helped this person. And it's been very interesting because, of course, what I have found is that the young person, in fact, there's a lot of reciprocity and reciprocal social capital happening. Not just that the young person is this sort of passive recipient of all this support from other people. In fact, the relationship is quite reciprocal. And then what I've also done is I've interviewed a number of professionals who have worked with young people, and I've asked them their opinion on young people's social networks, what they have found, and what have they found useful in promoting positive social relationships for young people. And a lot of the time the professionals are talking about the negative social capital that these young people have. But I must say with the professionals, I'm sort of still analysing some of that information, so I don't want to go into too much detail about that. I've analysed really the dyad, which is the young person and their informal support person.
Thank you. Thank you. That was
I have
great to share a little bit more about Nathaniel or
Yes.
Yael, who wants to continue.
Did you check the parents the relationship with the parents?
No, not in with the young people and their biological parents. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I've the premise of my research is talking to them about, tell me about someone who you find important in your life right now. And quite interestingly, none of them actually.
None of them.
No. And interestingly, what they do find what's important is family-like relationships. So when they talk about someone who's important, who's an adult in their life, they may call that person an aunt or an uncle, or sometimes even mum or dad, which is really interesting. So family is still very important to them. In fact, it's probably the very social, the classic social capital that's been missing in their lives, really. That's what I'm finding, that they find that very important. But in fact, a lot of them really talked about the troubled relationships that they still have with their parents.
This is also an interesting finding.
Yeah, yes, it is. It is, yeah, absolutely.
Gael?
Well, I'm relatively new to this specific topic. I'm a director of research at ELI. We're a firm specializing in the social impact sector. And I'm currently in the past couple of months focusing, I lead a research of best practices focusing on young adult parents at risk. And one of the groups that interests us is care leavers. And I'm trying really hard in the past month, me and a couple of researchers working with me, to find best practices, to find interventions that are scientifically valid, RCTs, something that's been evaluated, that focus on young adults leaving care parents. And I was really surprised at how little information there is. We found only about 3-4 interventions. Of them, I found only one that is really RCT'd, and it wasn't even a care leavers. It was young women that stated that they don't have any support. So the rest was really more really small samples and qualitative data. And my main goal right now is just to find what is the best practice. So I'm currently reviewing the broader literature about this group, trying to find what their barriers are to being good parents, to having employment and education. And from that, I will try to deduct what should a good intervention include. And so I was really curious to know from people who are more experienced in this field if I missed something really big and there's just loads of interventions that I just didn't find, or something else. That's the main thing.
Thank you. Netanel?
Yes. Okay, I'm Netanel, a PhD student in Ben-Gurion University in Israel, in the Department of Social Work. I'll tell you a little about myself. In the last 15 years, I've been working with children and young adults in the field of out-of-home care. Most of my years in 2 residential care facilities, treating children removed from their home due to abuse or neglect. In Israel, most of children are placed in residential care. Only something about like 75%, only minority is in foster care. Today, I'm the manager of a unique support program for young adults aging out of home care. So, thanks to my professional career and personal relationships, I have a unique perspective about the journey of few of them from childhood to young adult. Some of they are really wonderful young adults are now parents. I know them from the like 6, 7, 8 years old. It's very exciting to me to see them how they're coping with this really challenging task of parenthood. So because of my personal experience, this is my research interest is focus on the parenting of these young adults. I'm not focusing on the teenage parenthood. A group of ages like 18 to 19 to 29. In Israel, only one research that I found is conducted in Israel over 20 years ago, so we don't have a lot of information about the youth aging out and on the parenthood. The aim of my research, I'm in my first year. Dr. Tehila is my guidance. So the aim of my research, I want to explore how does them having history of out of home care, how its impact on their parenting, if and how its impact on their parenting in adulthood. I'm focused on their parenting style and the parenting experience, such as parental stress and parental self-efficacy. I want to see if there is association between traumatic history, such as neglect, physical abuse, and psychological abuse in their past to their parenting style and experience today. I also want to check the association between attachment style in adulthood, secure or insecure, and their parenting today. Another important area is their social support. I'll explore the direct and moderate of their romantic relationships and support given by their parents, emotional and instrumental. I want to see if that's effect on their parenting. And finally, I'm interested to see if I can identify groups at risk for non-optimal parenting style and negative experience. At this point, I'm thinking about factors such as gender, age of the parent, age of the child, type of home placement like residential care or foster care to see if there is any difference, number of placement, economic condition. That's it for now. We'll be happy to hear comments and suggestions. And thank you for now.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Can I ask you something, please? Would you work on, so related to your research design, do you think on more quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods?
I'm thinking on mixed method.
Collect your data.
I think on
Which
mixed
one?
method. Mixed method.
Okay.
But that can be changed. Most of the research is not בחר מילה תהילה לאיכותנית, תעזרי לי.
Qualitative.
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 But you want to say that most of them qualitative, right?
Most of them are qualitative. Yes.
Yeah.
Most of the research are qualitative. I found only one from Wales that is not qualitative. So I'm not interested to do qualitative, but I think I have no. I think I'll go eventually for a mixed method.
So I suppose you are preparing some questionnaires or tests or things like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm looking.
Very interesting.
Ella, do you have any experience, maybe I missed it, with quantitative questionnaire to parents, to caregivers or parents? Do you have any experience with that?
I have some experience. I had mixed methods during my PhD. What's my experience with questionnaires? As I'm a psychologist, I applied also some questionnaires. I had an attachment questionnaires, actually, an adult attachment questionnaire. And in my experience, I needed to go through the questionnaires by me reading each question and they answering, even though these are self-administered questionnaires. First of all, I wanted to be sure they understand, even though the language was easy, but I needed to be sure they understand. And secondly, because they had many, many years of living in residential care where they have met psychologists and that did a lot of tests at different ages, they had a reluctant attitude to this kind of questionnaires, and they were doing just like that, just to fill in and finish. So it was not relevant just leaving them to tick boxes. But talking with them, and it took quite a lot of time, but I was sure that their answer were relevant. This was my way to be sure I get relevant data.
So Gabrielle,
so how
do you collect that? Do you still do a survey, but you collect it verbally, orally?
During my PhD, yes, I collected it verbally. I did in-depth interviews, and I had also questionnaires with predefined answers, which I did orally.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Good. Okay.
Yes. Did anyone else collect it? Quantitative data?
Yeah, I did. As I said in my longitudinal study, we used actually specific tool. Maybe I'll need to share it actually with Nathaniel about satisfaction with parenthood. Yeah. But I agree with what you're saying. I just have experience with other group of young people at risk that sometimes you give them a questionnaire and they really answer some of it or part of it or not really. So in our research, we do it. We do phone interviews, and actually also we paid them for the time. So yeah, but I think
you also read the questions.
Yeah, it was via phone, so it was like 1 hour, and it is, but maybe I'm just thinking about Nathaniel, or like if you are going to go to grow, like if you're not going to go to people who are at the age of 18 or so on, just 5, 6, 7 years after leaving care, I think maybe you can expect more, I don't know, better response, because they don't really experience questionnaires all of this year, but I hope so.
I would think the same as you, Tehila. I see an opportunity. I see here an opportunity to share some of our already existing articles or issues found on this topic. If the group agrees, for example, Jacinta, I was thinking if you have come across, I have an article with John Pinkerton on informal relationships for caregivers. Have you come across that?
I have, Gabrielle. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, this is what I was thinking to send you to help you, and. My interest would be on some of the articles on interventions with parents. What you, Yael, said, you have found 3 or 4 articles on interventions. Because now in this new project, we began with this group of young parents included. We have some interventions. We will have some mentoring programs, so different kinds. So I will be happy if you would share them to read these interventions.
Yeah, actually we can, yeah.
I didn't understand if you said that you found intervention or that you need. You didn't find.
No. So I was thinking, you said you find 3 or 4 articles on interventions with young parents. So if you can share the references, for me, they would be helpful.
Yeah, maybe you can just, if you can just write your email in the chat box, then I will share all the links. We are not a lot, but Ella, for example, I have yours, and of course, and maybe you can just write your email, and then I will send an email at the end to all of you, and then we can share some papers and questionnaires and so on. That would be great. And we can continue this discussion, like every time that we will find something, we can just share it with everyone. And
it will be great.
It's a very small research topic, and yeah, I agree. I don't think there is too much out there on it.
Actually, I'm going to write. I'm going to work on a paper in the next month about the findings that I have. So of course I will share it with you later. But maybe when I will work on it, I will share with you the data that I'm going to use for my literature review. So I'll try to do it during the work and share with you some data. And actually, Netanella has a lot, right? I think you already did.
Yeah, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of the research of the literature review, so I have a lot of articles, but none of them is on the group of over 25.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't find any article focused on. Most of the articles are on teenage between 18 to 22. A few goes up to 24 years old, but that's it.
Yeah.
I'm looking for older ages. So if you have any suggestion, I would love to hear.
I'm sorry, maybe I cut your circle when I come inside. So if you're in the middle, we can go back and then, yeah? Are you still doing the
Sorry?
Did you all present yourself and your work, or I just?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, Tehila, I have. Tehila, I'm curious about, so you were talking about your current research on romantic relationships of young people. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Yeah,
actually, I think another issue that don't have enough studies about is how caregivers create their, not their families with their children, but having romantic relationship. And, I'm just thinking about what I read, and I think I know the literature, but maybe you can correct me. There are not enough about it. There is very few studies that refer to this issue. So in my qualitative questionnaire, not questionnaire, like my qualitative data, I have some question about how they see their romantic relationships. For example, they speak about, actually, I have to say that when I read it, I was a little disappointed. Like at this point, as I said, I only analyzed half of the data, but I will have some more data and I will share it with you. But like one of the things that I find interesting is that they really keep the, I would say that the old tradition balance between men and women at home. Like women need to take care of the house, of the cleaning, of all the things, and men need to bring the money or need to take care of the economic situation. This is one finding that I can, right now, it's very like, very early to say more about this finding, but this is the things that pop up, like it's not very surprising because we live in this kind of situation, but all the idea of the new families and more, I don't know, balance between men and women at home, we couldn't find this in our interviews. And even when we spoke with men, like, they talked about, we are looking for a woman to take care of our children. Like, you know, this kind of things, what they are looking for. This is from the qualitative data. From the quantitative data, I can say that we found that their self-esteem is very important. Like, their self-esteem is very important to their satisfaction with a romantic relationship. Young people that experienced less traumatic life event after the age of 18 were more satisfied with their romantic relationship. And another issue that was interesting is that, and we didn't found it in the previous part of the study or when we refer to education or employment, is that the relationship with the father was very important to their satisfaction with the satisfaction with a romantic relationship. So it's just the beginning. I didn't wrote it yet. I did it for a new paper that I'm writing, but this is what I have right now. And
Tehila, do you refer to relationship with father for both women and men, or only for women? For both?
Just now, both of them, but I will have to check that. It's a good question. When I talked, I thought about it. So maybe different. We have differences in that. I'm going to write this, but yeah, right now it's general. Yeah.
General, but is there a strong culturally? I'm thinking, is the father figure more strongly like in the patriarchal traditions in your culture?
It's a good question. I don't think so. Yael and Netanel, you can actually correct me if you think otherwise. But I'm just going to say what I'm thinking, and then you can jump in. I think that for caregivers, the relationships with the father are really rare. Like in most of our study, we found that they don't really have relationships with their fathers. So maybe when they have them, it's really important. So for the ones that have a good and supportive relationship with the father, it's very important. This is my suggestion right now.
Can I give you an issue to look for? It would be interesting in my PhD asking about romantic relationships. It was very interesting. I had 34 young people in-depth interviews, and some of them were preferring to have romantic relationships also with caregivers background, because they said they get along much easier together because they have the same background. And others, and mostly some of the women who were had good outcomes, said, if I want to be good in my future life, I need to avoid caregivers. So even if I like a caregiver, I don't get into a relationship with him because I want to get rid of my care history and to be with normal ones. So I suppose I will be much more successful in my life. And this was their thinking, not their experience. And they were looking extra for young men who have no care experience. So I had both options. It was very interesting for me to see this. I did not go more in depth, but it's
actually now I'm sorry that I didn't ask that, you know, in the quantitative data, but in the qualitative data, I can't say that I saw anything about romantic relationships with caregivers. No, there wasn't any data about that or any reference to this issue.
And when they were relating about their romantic relationships, those who had both care histories had quite troubled relationships. I'm thinking now, Netanel, on your PhD, because of attachment issues. And the others had much more.
Netanel, you can say hello. Hi.
Happy birthday today.
Oh, congratulations.
7 years old. Sorry for that.
No,
As
it's
to say.
okay. This is a
I
time
know
for the
this very
children.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question. Maybe you know, I don't know. I was wondering, what are the? I was trying to read about preliminary factors to young parenthood, and I was trying to figure out how much of the young parenthood was by choice, and how much was not. Because of the interventions, I saw there's numerous interventions that are like sex education types for teenagers living in care, and I was really wondering how much of this was by choice of like young women wanting to have a family soon, and how much was really because of lack of sex education. They didn't know how to use condoms and stuff like that. I was wondering if you read about it, if you came across this topic.
I have not read about it. I was also wondering, the experience from our NGO is that most of them were not, so the first child usually was not wished for. It just happened and they decided to keep the child. In some cases, because they decided to keep the child, the father left them. Didn't want it to assume the relationship, and they decided to keep and raise the child alone, and they asked for support. So we are working with them. I have an example of a mother who has 4 children. She wished the other one. So from the first, which just came, then she had a stable relationship and she wished all the others.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
but in my experience, most are unwanted, but unwanted in the first step. But we do with them, we cancel them if they want to keep the child or not. Some of them come to us when they do not know what to do, and we cancel them, and many of them give up and want to do the abortion, and some of them want to keep the child. Especially as we ensure them that we will support them.
I found a free literature review. It's focused exactly on that questions.
Really, I would be really happy to see that. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I send them to you. There is an assumption that they want to make their own family.
Yeah.
Nathaniel, your video is off. It might be your choice. Okay.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, it's also an assumption that I heard, and I was wondering how much of it was true, how much of it was really wishing for their own family, and how much.
There is a lot of information on these particular questions. I'll send you all the articles.
Yeah, thanks.
Really update the literature review, and I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
Thanks.
And can you say us the result of it? So just the conclusion of your literature review on this.
I can't say I have a conclusion for now, but the assumption is that they are willing to be, they want to have their own families because they doesn't have a family support, so they want, it's their way to heal and to treat others, so they can have the family they always wanted.
Yeah.
This is the main conclusion, I think.
So interesting to me, because so many interventions focus on prevention of pregnancies, like if they do sex education, like it's the main problem. But if it's not the main problem, then you should really change how you deal with it. If it's by choice because they feel that's the only way they'll feel included and surrounded and happy, then the interventions should include completely different things.
So maybe there should be more research on that question. If we're actually saying that we don't know, we're assuming, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what we should be investigating.
Yeah.
It would be to have research. I mean, I don't know, Grabriela and Tehila, I mean, what sort of research design would help with finding out that sort of question? Because I understand where you're coming from, Yael. I'm not quite sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but I can understand that you'd want to sort of know, well, sex education or talking about certain things are just not going to help if indeed they do they yearn for a family because their own family has been so horrible. Would it be a mixture of qualitative and quantitative? It seems to me to lend itself more to qualitative research.
I agree.
Yeah, you're right. I totally agree with you. Actually, there is a thesis from Israel, not about caregivers, but generally about young people, young women at risk. And as Nathaniel said, they really speak about this experience, like being a mother, as a way to fix my bad experience as a child and so on. It's really strong there. And I can also, actually, cannot share it with all of you because it's in English, but yeah, you know, it's very interesting. There are some references there from other studies from around the world that speak about the same issue. Like,
but did you come across any, relating to what you say, Tehila, did you come across any research on the identity of being a mother, the role of becoming a parent? Because I assume, and I have very, very few data on it, but some of my data were showing that this new identity of motherhood, fatherhood, had this kind of healing impact. One of my young mothers said something like, it was the only thing in my life I managed to do alone, on myself. So she was so proud. She with a very low self-esteem, she said, I became a mother. I was able to do one very, very good thing in my life. And she has a very big ownership on the child. This is mine. I have something. Yeah. It was like a possession.
Something that she could love, you know, and someone that loved her back. I'm making you know, a baby to love, and the baby could love that person back. I mean, me making assumptions, but to me that's psychology, and that's looking at the inner world of someone. So would more a research design with not so much sociological but psychological theory could answer those sorts of questions, because it's about your inner world. I mean, if we're talking about identity and trying to lift someone's self-esteem.
Yeah.
I agree, and I also have to say, Ella, that my findings right now are really similar to what you mentioned. Like, you know, the experience of being a mother, it's a big part of the identity. I have to say that it's more for the mother and not for the father. Like, this is another issue that I can tell, that for the father, the issue of parenting is very short and without many details in the interviews, and for the mother, it's a big part of it and a big issue of the interview. So it's like you can also count the word or the times that they refer to this issue in the interviews. It's a very interesting. issue.
And,
Yeah.
you know, another issue that I have a personal interest in is their fear from involvement of the child protection services. They're really fear from that.
Yeah, I read about it a lot too. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So even though most of the young adults that I know is very committed to their parenthood and for the children's, it's really they're motivated to give them everything that they didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they really feel.
In our group, it's the same. All mothers are capable, and they say they would do anything for their children not to repeat their history and have some contact with the child protection.
Mm-hmm.
They would do anything. This is the group we are supporting, those 9 mothers with the 22 children, in order to prevent abandonment or any child protection issues.
It's very interesting what you're saying, because I remember when I did the last point in time, when they were 4 years after leaving care, in the qualitative data, some of them said it's not too bad, like if my children go to residential facilities. It was a great experience. We learned a lot, we experienced a lot and so on. And I really wonder, I have to check this again. I didn't ask this specific if you want your children to, but
I'm
have
really
to check
surprised, Tehila.
Yeah.
I don't even know even one young adult that will say something that will say this sentence. Never.
Yeah. Not even as, yeah.
This is their greatest fear.
Very interesting, because my experience was that for some of them, like the residential care was a very positive experience. And I'm just saying they said that when they were younger and, you know, they weren't parents yet. And I wonder if they, as I said, right now I don't have any picture of it, but I have to go and look for it. I know that now they refer to the idea, some of them, like, I don't want my children to go to residential care, but I have to check, like, for the same one who told me that it's not too bad, to check again if they change their thinking about it.
Tehila, I'm conscious of the time.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, we need to finish. Yeah.
Yeah, would it be good to have a round and everybody say one thing which you have found helpful in being in this group, in our discussions? Would that be an idea to end? I can start on it. So for me, it was helpful to know there are articles on interventions with parents, and especially one RCT. I didn't know about that. So that was the most helpful thing.
Caregivers, so I have to admit, it's not caregivers.
No, but that it is RCT and parenthood. And I have some ideas on potential research questions, which I take from these discussions. And who wants to continue?
And what sort of questions, sorry?
For example, one of the question I take forward, and I could take forward, I'm not sure, but it's stimulating me, is about about their attitude to creating their own family, if they are seeing this as a potential way to heal their past. I would like to do more in-depth research on that. It could be a research question.
Okay, I'm just going to leave you because I have to go to the. I'm as been said, I'm in charge of the technical issues, so I'll go back there. I just want to say that it was really, really great, and I really enjoyed it. And we will continue our contact via mail. Okay, we will do it. I think it's very important to start this small community.
Good on you,
Great.
okay?
Great.
So see you later. And actually, just a word. I don't know if you realize we record this meeting as we said, so this is going to be online. I hope you are not strongly disagree. I'm not sure how many people are going to listen to this, but we should do it, okay?
Can you delete
bye.
my child?
I'll cut it.
No.
Bye. See you later.
Bye.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye. So Jacinta, what are you taking from our discussion?
Oh gosh, where do I start? For me, it's actually just really good to know that around the globe there are other people who've got the same interests in working with young people who are leaving care, and in particular about parenting and their romantic relationships, more of the informal relationships. I think what I like is this sort of community of researchers and community of practice, and just talking about it I find is really helpful. I mean, I've taken my notes and I'll go back and I'll process what I've heard today. So that's what I'm taking from it. I'm really liking the conversation.
You, Yael?
Well, being so new to this topic, I think it was really good for me to hear that when you're new to a topic and you can't find research, then you always wonder if you're doing something wrong and you just didn't search right. So I think it was really good for me to hear that there is a lack of research in this really important topic, and that the same issues that are interesting to me really interest other people in this field. So thank you, and hopefully maybe I'll get a couple of references that will help me.
Okay, great, thanks. Nathaniel?
I would like to say thank you, and I hope we'll continue on the email, and maybe in the future in another group meeting. I hope we can give a more complex view on the topic. It's really not rich enough for now. So I hope we can. That's it. Okay. Thank you very much for now. We'll see you in the
Thank you, everyone.
another meeting.
Then keep in touch with sharing articles, research that would be more rich.
I'll send it a few articles tonight.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the best. Bye. See you in the large group then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.